Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Tuesday, August 13th, 2024 regular closed session meeting of the EBMUD Board of Directors. Roll call, Madam Secretary.
Director Chan. Director Gomez.
Here.
Director Katz.
Here.
Director Lenny.
Here.
Director Patterson stepped out. Director Young.
Here.
President McIntosh.
Here. I have one speaker card for public comment. Are there any speakers online, Madam Secretary?
No online speakers.
All right, then Yvette Rivera.
Thank you.
Thank you. I went to the planning meeting this morning and talked about the Saji Pierce and Ariel Bland attorney team that just won San Francisco Trial Attorney of the Year for 2024. I provided a little photo collage of Ben Crump talking about the East Bay Mud case and the photo of the Pierce attorneys holding their award, because I know the district likes to talk about awards, so let's talk about their award. On the bottom of the page, it talks about the San Francisco Chronicle article that's titled East Bay Utility District Faces More Racism Charges Again. I'm going to talk later on at the next meeting, but I just want to play a little tiny clip of the award clip that the trial attorneys had online. See if I can get this going here.
Who was a veteran civil rights lawyer doing employment law. A lot of her work involved that. And she brought me in when she was campaigning to be DA of Alameda County, and she won that race. And so I handled the case on my own for some time until it was clear we were headed to trial, and then I reached out to Bernard to try the case with me.
But I knew of Bobby because we know the same people. The plaintiff employment community in California, although it's a big state, it's a very tight-knit group. And when she first started the call, she said that she started the case.
I'm going to leave it at that because I do have this online on my YouTube link for I Rivera, and I will be posting more videos about this as I discover more stuff online. Again, the attorneys posted on their Facebook page the information about the award. They also posted a link for anybody to contact them if they wanted to talk about their own issues. All right, thank you. I yield.
All right, I now have a second speaker card, Eric Larson. Good morning.
Good morning, President McIntosh, board members, and general manager. Thank you, and welcome back. Hope you had a nice vacation, if you went on vacation or whatever you did. This one. Okay. Eric Larson, President, Local 444. I just had one question about agenda item number 3. If you could just explain in layperson's terms what that means, a personnel exception pursuant to Government Code Section 54957 to consider the annual public employee evaluation of general counsel. What does that mean?
If you're asking what's going to happen, it's the board's annual review, my annual performance review given by the board. So the Brown Act specifically allows for governing bodies to conduct performance reviews of the employees that report to them in closed session.
So what's the exception? Personnel exception.
It's just called a personnel, I mean, it's just how we've been wording it. It's a personnel exception. So it's not a litigation exception, it's a personnel-related exception to the Brown Act that would otherwise require all meetings to be held in open session.
So they're reviewing the annual public employee evaluation in closed session.
That's correct.
So there's no public portion of that employee evaluation except that you're a public employee.
I'm unclear what your question is. So the Brown Act allows the Board of Directors to conduct the performance evaluations of myself and Clifford Chan in closed session, and that's what's happening today.
I see. Thank you.
Okay.
All right, apparently that's our last speaker. So the board will now convene to conference room 8 to discuss closed session agenda items 1 through 3 and is scheduled to return for the regular meeting at 1:15 p.m. All right, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the Tuesday, August 13th, 2024 regular business meeting of the East Bay Mud Board of Directors. We will receive reports from this morning's Planning and Ledge HR Committee meetings under item 19. Roll call, Madam Secretary.
Director Chan? Present. Director Gomez? Here. Director Katz?
Present.
Director Lenny?
Here.
Director Patterson?
Here.
Director Young? Here. President McIntosh?
Here, please join us for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Why don't we do this announcement from closed session first? Due to time constraints, the board did not hold the annual performance evaluation of the general counsel during today's closed session, and will continue the evaluation to the August 27, 2024 closed session meeting. That puts us over to General Manager Chan for a presentation.
Thank you, President McIntosh. The East Bay Municipal Utility District was honored on June 25th, 2024 by Women Business Enterprise Council Pacific as one of the organization's top corporations for 2024. This honor is even more significant since it was the first year the award was given. Established in 2000, WBEC Pacific is a strategic sourcing partner supporting women entrepreneurs by facilitating procurement opportunities, business networking, and supplier development. WBEC Pacific is based in the state of Washington and serves Northern California, Oregon, Washington, Alaska, Idaho, and Montana. WBEC Pacific is one of 14 regional partners of Women Business Enterprise National Council, which was founded in 1997. Dr. Janice Green, President and CEO of WBEC Pacific, is here to present this award to the district and acknowledge the value of the district's partnership in promoting women businesses. Derry Moten will accept the award on behalf of the district. Please welcome Dr. Green.
Well, thank you. It's an honor being here, and I
Thank you for
want
being
to
here.
tell you all how important it is, the support that you've given the community with women businesses, specifically with us, but in general for diverse businesses and small businesses across the region. The reason that you received this award is just because of the ongoing dedication and the commitment, the fact that you participate in our events, the fact that you actually have outreach and have consistently been there for those businesses in the region and have provided opportunities across the board. So it's an honor to be here. I really appreciate the fact that you have actually, you walk the talk the walk. You actually do what it is that you say you're going to do, and that's why you're one of the first inductees that we have of top corporations in at Webec Pacific. So thank you. I want to say a special thank you to Beverly Johnson, and I really appreciate all that you do because we know that she and her team couldn't do what they do without the support of the board and the executives of this organization. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you again.
Sorry, I'm reading my speaker cards. So, I have several speaker cards. The first, Yvette, this is on a non-agenda item, correct? Yes. Okay. All right, why don't you come on up?
Thank you for this time. This morning, I provided a collage of another award. And it's an award that East Bay MUD, I know, shouldn't be proud of because it didn't go to East Bay MUD. It went to the attorneys that were representing plaintiffs that sued the district for retaliation and discrimination. Many people at the district always like to ask me what's going on with the Pierce Bland case. I always tell them that interest is accruing. But I got a nice surprise this weekend when I was scanning the Facebook pages for the attorneys for the Pierce Bland case. And it turns out that they got an award. They got the San Francisco Trial Lawyers Association award for their representation of Pierce and Bland in that case. This morning I played a few of the sound bites from the Melanie Woodrow news story where they talked about the case and how the district claimed that there basically was no basis for the case. And I came to this board meeting then and begged the board to hold off on giving Craig Spencer an award. I said at that time that the case hasn't even been tried yet. How can you give a person that is named as a defendant in a discrimination and retaliation lawsuit an award? How is this possible? And then the president at the time, Doug Linney, said, the matter's been investigated. And I've come back and said no agency in America, at least, would say anything about a case. They would usually say that the case is ongoing, we can't comment. But I assume Derek McDonald gave you those talking points, and I know that you gave him his appraisal today, and I hope that you took that into consideration when you're reading this award. This collage that I created with Ben Crump saying that one of the Bay Area's largest utility company practices are not acceptable, and the Chronicle article talking about the discrimination, utility district hit with racism charges again. I hope that that's an award. The award that the Alexander Morrison law firm received is an award that you keep in mind when you're parading all of these other awards to camouflage this discrimination and retaliation at this agency. That's all I have. I yield.
Thank you, Yvette. I have another speaker card from Matthew Taylor. Water waste damage at South Comanche Park and cost increase. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Board. Specifically, hi, Lisa McIntosh. You were a close friend of my father-in-law that passed away, Bob Van Bibber.
I was.
Which was heavily involved in Lake Comanche, Park and Rec, both North and South Shore. I'm here to inform you guys that we've had an issue with the South Shore. Specifically, I live at Space 31, and my house has been damaged due to the excessive amount of water flooding that is occurring from my neighbor. It has been identified they've had broken pipes that are for irrigation for quite some time. It has impacted the last 3 owners, and I have what I call the Grand Canyon underneath my house, which is basically a waterway that has been bored because of the amount of water that has flooded from these pipes. East Bay MUD was notified, but more importantly, I've been working with South Shore leadership for over 2 years. them not working with me in conjunction to find out the true cause until now. I had to take steps a little bit further than I normally would. I actually did have my wife reach out to Lisa, but also I took video of the evidence that everybody seemed to be denying. We are gaining traction, and the homeowner was informed to repair their water pipe system, but I am under the opinion, because it's been going on for a decade, that it'll just get shuffled and not corrected. I'm just going to let you know, I flipped a switch, and I am just basically going to stay on this until it's resolved. I decided to come and inform you guys that I also will be going to the Pardee board meeting this Friday and informing them of the same thing. While I was doing that, I did talk to some of my neighbors, and I have got information from Gene Darrell that went specifically today to Calaveras County Board. This is a shift, sorry. This is the second part about price raising of our rent. I wanted to let you know that this was presented this morning at the Calaveras County Board, not by me, but by Gene. As South Shore and North Shore residents of the mobile home park look back on January 1st, 2024, at the huge increased rent in East Bay MUD opposed on both parks. East Bay MUD comes to mind that must believe we are a bunch of rich folks that live in the Bay Area and have lake homes here at Lake Comanche. Well,
You can wind it up.
okay, thank you. Basically, it was recommended
I know.
that the increase only be 2 to 5% from Pardee. Yours is 12.5%. It's gone up substantially. Most everybody there is on fixed income and on Social Security. They want you to take reconsideration in the park raising of that rent and take it down from $80 in addition to a month to more reasonable. Thank you.
Thank you for being here. Any questions of Matthew?
Oh, sorry.
No? All right. Thank you.
Appreciate it.
All right, that leads us onward. I have no more speaker cards for non-agenda public comment, so that moves us on to, oh, is this,
That's on an agenda item.
this agenda item?
Yes.
All right. Okay, all right. So that moves us on to our consent calendar. I want to remove item 1 because I have a speaker card on the minutes of those meetings. So I'll remove item 1. Do we have a motion on items 2 through 15?
I'll move 2 through 15.
Sorry. I need to remove item 15 as well.
2 through
So,
14.
2 through 14.
Second.
All right. If there are no questions, comments, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? All right. Item number 1, Yvette, come on up. You wanted to comment on the minutes.
Yeah. Do I need to speak on this one?
The mic is on.
Testing. In regards to the minutes, I know that there have been conversations about how to change what's been going on in terms of diversity at the district. But in terms of these minutes and transparency, dating back to 2014, when Rosa Merced spoke and pointed out to the district that the minutes didn't represent what she said, I've been coming and saying the same thing. So looking at these minutes that are going to be approved by you, and I know they're going to be approved anyway, my comments about how the proposed board policies were going to handcuff the board members and force board members to engage in group speak, how it was a landmine, that they were landmines so that the district didn't misbehave. That wasn't mentioned at all in the minutes. And I know the district is used to sugarcoating everything. The other comments that I made were about what was going on with John Coleman and how he was being attacked, how he was, obviously now we know he was never interviewed, how the investigation was done in bad faith. All of these things that I said, of course they're not in the minutes. But when the district wonders why history repeats itself, it's because you erase history. I yield.
Okay. Oh, Yvette, you wanted to speak on item number 10, so you might as well. Oh, it says number 10, conduct
I
for
did.
online HR advisors.
In terms of number 10, you know, it's another agreement that's being entered into it says here, for additional online human resources and diversity, equity, and inclusion advisory services. I've already shown you the SURE report. I've shown you the winners report. I don't even have to show you, because really who I was showing was the new board directors. The horrors, really, for those of us that are subjected to the racism and discrimination and retaliation, it's the horrors that employees at the district present during these surveys. I don't even know if you call it a survey, but all of these things are presented, and those people that have, those surveyors who present these reports that give you bad news, do they get called back in? Do they get called back in to do contracted services to help fix a problem? No, no. You really need to, you know, the question about how do we change this, it's the board of directors, because the people out there don't know what the heck they're doing. I yield. Oh, do you want me to speak on the next board item?
Yes, item 15.
I provided Director Luz Gomez a copy of the 2014 EEOC report. There's so many of them. When I say that the district just uses a boilerplate, stamps it, and every year issues it, I wanted her to see all the underrepresented groups, all the groups that the district intends to work on, you know, getting here at the district. It's a dog and pony show. The district really needs to get people that know about civil service, not people that are hired from an oil company, or private business. You need to get people that are experts in government civil service so that everyone gets equal opportunity, so that equal opportunities are not negotiated. That needs to stop one of these days. Who knows when? I yield.
Thank you. Clifford, can I just back up for a moment and ask that you provide the board with a memo on the issue raised by Matt during public comment about the neighbor above and the pipes running down and et cetera?
I can provide information on that.
All right, thank you. Did he call you?
He did not, but I've spoken to his wife.
All right, okay, thank you. That's who I spoke with as well, his wife. All right, that moves us on to determination and discussion.
Hold, we have to vote on
Oh.
item 1, and we voted, well, the
1,
board already
10.
voted on 10.
Okay, 1,
Go ahead. And 15?
1 and 15. Do we have a motion?
I'll move.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All right, we have a motion from Director Lenny, a second by Vice President Patterson. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? All right, thank you. Ledge HR.
Yes, we have Kathy Viatella, our Manager of Legislative Affairs, to provide the update.
Thank you, General Manager Chan. Good afternoon, President McIntosh and members of the board. I'm here to present to the board for consideration one item for support position. The Ledge HR Committee this morning unanimously voted to support HR 8682 by Representative Huffman, the Water Conservation and Rebate Tax Parity Act, which would make conservation rebates exempt from federal income tax. Specifically, the bill will amend the Internal Revenue Code to exempt from federal income tax rebates provided to public utility customers for the purchase of and installation of any water conservation, storm water management, or wastewater management measure. So I'm happy to answer any questions about the bill or our past support for similar measures, and we are requesting a support position on the bill.
And Bill, you want to report out from Ledge?
Yes, Ledge HR heard this matter this morning and took an affirmative vote to support it. And I would move the legislation.
Okay, we have a motion from Chair Patterson. Do we have a second?
I will second that.
All right, from Luz Gomez. Do we need any discussion, questions, thoughts, comments? All right, hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? All right, that's unanimous, Kathy.
Thank you very much. I have a couple of updates for you on legislative issues of interest. So on the state side, there are really only a few weeks left in this second year of the two-year session. So this Thursday, the Senate and Assembly Appropriations Committees will hear approximately 700 bills that were placed on suspense. Some bills will be held on suspense due to their fiscal impact on the general fund and the budget situation, while the remainder move to the floor for a final vote. And this year, because of the budget situation, we expect that a higher than usual number of these bills will be held on suspense. One of the bills that is on the suspense file and will be heard in the Assembly Appropriations Committee this Thursday is SB 1255 by Senator Durazo. And as a reminder, this is the bill that would create a statewide water rate assistance program and place a voluntary opt-out contribution on customers' water bills. We've been working with the sponsors on amendments specifically to address areas of concern. The first one, which we briefed you on back in June, was if we were unable to generate enough revenue from the voluntary contribution on the bill to provide a commensurate benefit to the one offered under our existing customer assistance program, then EBMUD would be exempt from essentially automatically enrolling all eligible customers, and we could use the funds that were collected to provide emergency assistance. In our conversations with the sponsors, they've been okay with that proposed amendment. And then the second one is EBMUD would seek to ensure that any public water system can coordinate with a third party to provide crisis assistance. And so this would allow the district to work with the nonprofits that assist customers through the Water Lifeline program. And that one as well has been supported and accepted by the sponsors of the bill. So if on Thursday the bill comes off of suspense, we are hopeful that it will be amended with our proposed amendments before it goes to the Assembly floor for a vote. And if that happens, we will move from support if amended to support of the bill. So any questions about SB 1255?
Marguerite?
Yeah, I've had conversations with Jennifer Clary at Clean Water Action, and she, indicated that there's, that coming off suspense mostly has to do with getting either support or from somebody on the utilities committee. I'm not exactly remembering do you know how, let me just ask you this. Do you think it's likely that the bill can come off suspense, or what do you think will need to happen at approps for that to occur?
Yeah, appropriations in the suspense file is always difficult to predict.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a black box,
It is a
right?
little bit of a black box. I can give you what I know. What I know at the moment is that we are supportive amended. I think one other utility is a support on the bill. The remainder and the associations are oppose unless amended, and some are straight oppose, I believe. The Department of Finance came out with an analysis of the bill, and they represent the administration. They took an opposed position on the bill. So their position will be, was heard when the bill was heard in Appropriations Committee, acknowledging that the bill has another provision that requires a needs assessment be done for smaller systems, less than 3,300 connections. And that will have a cost to the state. But the Department of Finance also noted in their analysis that there is some concern that because of the voluntary opt-out provision and the uncertainty regarding how many customers will choose to opt out, there could be programs established and then they created a situation where there's a dependency and they need to backfill that with general fund. Now that's all speculative, but that was something that they articulated. So right now, they are negotiating this among the committee members. We can, we have expressed our support if amended, but I think it will be difficult, but it is also something that the committee may just decide and the chair may decide to move out. So those are negotiations between the administration, the author of the bill, and leadership right now. So we shall see. So any other questions? Okay. A couple of other things. So before the legislature went out on their summer recess, there was kind of a mad scramble in the last couple of weeks to pass SB 867 by Senator Allen, which is the climate bond. And it authorizes a $10 billion general obligation bond, which would be placed on the November ballot. A memo was sent to the board that provides additional details on the categories of funding for that bond. And so that will be on the November ballot. So any questions about the climate bond?
No.
Okay. And then lastly, just on the federal side, Congress is out on their summer recess, but before they left town, the Senate unanimously passed their version of the Water Resources Development Act of 2024. And that act authorizes studies, programs, and spending by the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers. The House of Representatives passed its version in late July, and our proposal to increase the funding for recycled water projects, the authorization for funding for recycled water projects, from $25 million to $45 million, made it into the House version of the WRDA bill. So now the House and the Senate will work to reconcile the differences between the two versions of the legislation, and then the final package will likely be taken up during the lame duck session unless it is attached to something like the National Defense Authorization Act, which is a must-pass piece of legislation. So we're keeping a close watch on that. And that completes my updates, and I'm happy to take any other questions.
Marguerite?
Are we able to take a position on the climate bond? Is that something we can agendize for?
Yes, yes, it is possible to do that. We would bring it back to the board. My recommendation would be, we would like the voter guide to come out, and then we have all the information, and we can bring it back to you probably at the second board meeting in September.
Okay. All right. There's nothing further. Thank you, Kathy.
Okay, thank
As
you.
always.
Thank you, Kathy. Next is the second reading to make amendments to our wastewater control ordinance. We did conduct the first reading at our July 9th board meeting. Alicia Chakrabarty is here, our manager of wastewater environmental services, to conduct the reading.
Thank you. Do I need to do anything? Okay. Hello? Hello?
Got it.
Okay, thank you. Good afternoon, Board of Directors. I will give how do I advance? There we go. A brief overview as part of the second reading of the ordinance. So the wastewater control ordinance is really the document that provides all of the regulations for all of what is discharged for treatment at the main wastewater treatment plant. It includes various provisions, including numeric limits on what can be discharged, and that's what we call our local limits. We've proposed some changes to those local limits, which is really what's driving these ordinance amendments. In terms of the timeline, we brought this for first reading a month ago at the last board meeting, and the board did not request any changes. So here we are at our second reading. Now, the changes that are being proposed are really throughout every title of the ordinance, but principally in these three areas. So the local limits, which I mentioned, broadening the language related to permit types, just to provide more clarity on the different types of permits that we issue, as well as an elaboration of the appeal process and how it can be used. Following the first reading, we did make a few very minor edits, correcting some typos, as well as ensuring consistent capitalization of defined terms. And I'm showing one example here for slug discharge, since this was a change. So those are now consistent. And if the board approves the amended ordinance, we will provide notification via local newspapers, and it will become effective 30 days later, which will allow us to begin implementing the new local limits in our permits. And I would be happy to take any questions.
Questions? Thoughts, comments? All right, that was our second reading. Do we need a motion?
Yes, still sounds good to me. I think I preemptively made the motion last time, so I will make the motion this time to adopt the ordinance.
I'll second that.
So we have a motion by Director Young, a second by Director Lenny. If there are no further questions, comments, or thoughts, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? All right, unanimous. Thank you.
Thank you, Alicia. Moving on to my reports. Last month, the San Francisco Regional Water Quality Control Board adopted the third nutrient watershed permit. This permit will require significant reductions in nutrient levels from our treated wastewater as well as the treated wastewater from other Bay Area wastewater agencies. EBMUD City, our Director of Wastewater, will share with you an update on the permit and our progress to reduce nutrients from our effluent.
Thank you, General Manager Chan.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Thank you, President McIntosh and members of the board. I wanted to give you an update on the nutrient watershed permit that was adopted last month. What I want to cover today, I will give you a very brief background on the nutrient levels in the Bay, the nutrient watershed permits over the years, our major comments and the responses we received from the Water Board, and next steps for us is EBMUD. So there are about 40 wastewater treatment plants all around the Bay that discharges their treated wastewater into the San Francisco Bay, and this watershed permit covers all of them in one combined nutrient watershed permit. Serves about a population of 7.1 million people. The discharge from sizes of the plants are from 0.03 MGD, MGD stands for millions gallons per day, to 167 millions per gallons per day. And the dry season total inorganic nitrogen loads into the Bay ranges from 0 to 10,000 kgs per day. It is estimated that 80% of the annual nitrogen loads into the San Francisco Bay primarily comes from the wastewater treatment plants. Sorry, I keep doing that. So the water, our San Francisco Bay is like any other, it's unique. And nutrient level in the San Francisco Bay compared to any other estuaries in the country is actually very high. And despite that, the Bay has been very resilient over the years, over the decades that we have seen and we have been monitoring. But we know the levels are high and there's a delicate balance, and we have been observing the levels and the impact and the signs of impairment for decades. Watershed permit was issued in 2014 to 2019. They get reissued every 5 years. So we knew early signs, there were some signs of impairment going on, and that's what Water Board started issuing their first permit. The first version of the permit, I'll call it Permit 1.0, that required simply just effluent monitoring, the loads and the flow, and then a group annual report, and a start of a science program that we were funding $880,000 combined contribution from all the wastewater treatment plant into the science program led by San Francisco Estuary Institute. And another one we were required to do was the optimization and upgrade studies should we have to do nutrient removal at various treatment plants. That's when we came out with the estimates about $8 billion across all the plants. And that number, I think, was, if you update it to, that was 2018 when we did this, and now it stands out to be about $11 billion. I think that's what you have seen in the newspapers after the adoption of the permit. The second watershed permit was issued in 2019 and covers until this year, 2024. And it required not just effluent, now influent was also required to be monitored. And group annual report continued. And it also required us to increase our science studies funding by a significant, almost $2.2 million compared to $880,000 in the past years. And it required us to do a study that would look into reduction options via recycled water and nature-based solution. Nature-based solution means something like a horizontal levee or a wetland that doesn't require direct human controls and maintenance and operations. Then the third nutrient watershed permit was issued, which was adopted this earlier in July. It now has a significant change. It requires us an interim and a final limit. The interim limit happens 5 years from now, and then the final limits is 10 years. And it has significant levels of reduction for all the treatment plants across the bay. And the support for science also continued. And now we are also required to do a regional planning because all the plants will be going through significant levels of upgrades. So we are required to coordinate, collaborate, and plan for all these major projects. For us, EBMUD, it is going to require, there's an interim limit, as I mentioned. Interim limit is going to be 11,000 kg per day. We are well below that right now. And then it is, final limit is going to be 3,300 kg per day, significant level of reduction for us, about 65%. And actually starts in October 2034, so it means the dry season, the following 35, it's going to be when it's going to be effective. And it's for dry weather only, so it's between the period of May through September 30. And we have to meet this average of, have to stay below 3,300 kg per day. And we have to report annually on the progress every year from now on. We have to report on the progress, how we're going to be achieving that number in 2035. So I wanted to show you a quick picture on the nutrient loads from EBMUD over the years. We have records from 2012. As you could see, our average, on the past, 10 years of the records we have, it's very high. It's 9,000 kg per day. And then we are required to go well below that. The red line, the lower red line, is 3,300 kg per day. But we're making progress. If you look at the last year's number, 2023, it shows already the phases of the nutrient reduction that we have been already doing at our plant. So before I go to what we have been doing, I wanted to share the major responses to our comments from the Water Board, because there was lots of concerns from the state of science that is it not mature enough, and then why put numeric limits, and then why now. So I'm going to go a few of them one by one. The first one is why have to have a numeric limit at this permit? So as you're aware, 2022 was a major event. So, and then 2023, we had a minor outbreak too for HAB, harmful algal bloom. And then even this year, in Lake Merritt, we saw in early spring, there was a small bloom happening and was confirmed to be the same species. Same species came 3 years in a row. So the Water Board's position is reasonable potential exists. Reasonable potential requires, Clean Water Act requires them to have numeric limits when a reasonable potential exists. Hence, they established the numeric limits for all the treatment plants. The second question was the science progress. We were, science is always evolving and we're learning always more. And whether it is mature enough to establish numeric limits, that was the questions from a lot of the treatment plants. But what our board's position is, no, because of the reasonable potential and the observed data, the correlation between the nutrient loads to lower level of dissolved oxygen and the subsequent fish kill establishes a clear relationship between the nutrient loads and the impairment of the bay. So it is sufficient in their opinion right now, but they do want us to continue to learn more and continue to fund the same level of science as before. But time is now for them to establish a limit and take action now. Few good things came out. District, as we have argued, that they have a recognition of those agencies that are doing early work for nutrient reduction as early actor. So we did get the recognition that EBMUD qualifies as an early actor. And what it means is when it's time for compliance, let's say some reason we're not there at the end of 2034 or 2035, then they will consider alternative compliance pathway for us. They did acknowledge the high cost of nutrient removal, but they also mentioned the Clean Water Act does not really have a special consideration for high cost of nutrient removal as an option for consideration. So that's mute. The other thing they did agree is the compliance time of 10 years. It's way too short. It is a significant amount of investment for all the plants with limited resources. So making these changes and these big mega capital projects in a 10 years, a lot of the treatment plants, as well as us, we're going to be challenged with making it at 10 years. But the argument from the board was that the existing CEQA laws or the existing policies and environmental regulations requires 10 years max for them to give us the time limit. And that's all they can do. And maybe they have to change the policy to be able to give us more time. So they did adopt a new resolution for developing alternative compliance pathway. So they're going to come back within 6 months. They promised that to look at what are the possible options. So we're looking forward to that, and we'll share more updates as we learn more.
Thank you. Any questions?
I have a few more slides.
Sorry.
I'm sorry. So we gave you an update on our biological nutrient reduction, BNR process upgrade about a couple of months ago, and we actually started that pilot project in 2020. We believe we can reach that 65% reduction with using the full capacity of our secondary system. But we do need to consider alternatives for redundancy, because it is, when we think about our 8 reactor decks, full capacity, if we have to use it all the time during the whole summer, that doesn't give us operational reliability. So we need a backup. We need redundancy. And then we need to maintain our dry weather capacity and also consider future growth. So for those, we have to figure out how we can deal with that, but not right away. So the potential new improvement we should consider, and this is what we are looking at, we probably have to add 2 new reactor decks. So this is expansion of the current secondary system. And then with that, we will probably need a new oxygenation unit. As you know, we produce pure oxygen for our secondary system. New unit means we need to add more oxygenation unit. We'll need electrical infrastructures. Now we have a lot more process equipment. Other thing we should also consider is a side stream treatment. As you know, our sludge, when we do this, our dewatering facility has a high nutrient loads, and that can be treated with a different technology. There's lots of different technology out there which can remove the nitrogen from the side stream. So we need to evaluate those technologies, find which is the most optimal. So our immediate future, we have to upgrade and rehabilitate our existing system. Our existing system is 50 years old. So it's well beyond its expected life. There's reactor decks, there's pumps, there's mixtures, there's electrical infrastructure. All of them need to be rehabilitated. We actually started doing it. BNR phase 1 was completed in 2019, I believe. And then in the coming years, we'll be doing phase 2 and phase 3 and 4. So all of these phases will upgrade the existing infrastructure. Then we're going to identify additional side stream nutrient reduction alternatives. We will continue our efforts with the science program. We're actually doing a few of the science program in our own lab as well. I think, I believe my colleague presented with those studies that we have done in the past presentation. Then next one is the addition of the 2 new reactor decks, and that's what we have to start planning for, prepare the estimates, and plan for the budget, how we are going to accommodate this in our budget. So finally, concluding key takeaways is we will be able to meet our interim and final numeric limits for the nitrogen. We have to convert our BNR, which is right now 50% converted. So next summer, we hope to be able to push 75 to 100. This year, we wanted to push 75%, but we couldn't do it because of some equipment limitations. But hope to be able to finish it in 2026. And then we need to consider rehabilitating our existing secondary treatment and potentially start thinking about adding new reactor decks, side stream treatment, new oxygenation unit. So with that, I finish my presentation.
All right.
Ready for questions.
Why don't we start at the end with Marguerite and work our way back?
Yeah, thank you. I'm so pleased to see the reduction that we were already able to make, and I know the low-hanging fruit is always the easiest. I do have a question about, in terms of the next steps, is that we had, or I had been promoting the idea of, and maybe it's covered under regional efforts, but identifying dischargers who are, who have wetlands or other, sort of natural feature, the opportunity to use natural solutions more so than we do, which ours is, as I understand it, are limited because of the, large tidal influence that we have. And can you speak to, is that still something that we're pursuing so that we could, sort of a tradable, sort of a tradable permits idea? I'm not generally a fan of tradable permits, but I think in this case, it could make sense that if there are discharger among the 40 that are, could have suitable nutrient reduction options that are also aimed at, sort of restoring, restoring wetlands or using a wetlands treatment approach, if that's in the mix.
Yes, we actually were required to do a study on opportunities for, we call this nature-based treatments. And nature-based treatments requires land, like close to the bay, and which we don't have because we are.
Right, I understand we don't have it, but I'm talking about other dischargers that may have it.
Yes.
That we could support, that would help us meet our discharge limit by helping them reduce.
Yes,
or paying.
Oroloma is one of them. They are working on a horizontal levee, and they have a pilot project going on. I remember Palo Alto is considering something similar, and we also identified areas in San Jose, South Bay area. There's possibilities, but those also require multi-jurisdictional coordination and collaboration with with these opportunities. I think you are absolutely right. There are opportunities out there, but the mechanism of engaging all these agencies and putting them together, it is a monumental task. But I believe there's opportunities. Like South Bay, there is a levee that the Army Corps is building. And part of when my previous capacity, I was actually trying to advocate for that levee to be used as a horizontal levee, so you can use that for a nature-based treatment. But unfortunately, the funding for that project, was limited, and their estimate for even phase 1 became twice as their original estimate. So it is still in consideration. I think Valley Water and San Jose probably are, exploring those options.
I think maybe what Director Young might be asking, correct me if I'm wrong, Director Young, is, we can make investments to add side stream and other types of investments. Is there a mechanism within the regional board where we can make investments and other agencies nature-based solutions and get credit for that ourselves.
That's what I'm asking. So if Valley Water doesn't have the money to do theirs, if we put in, you know, a chunk of money, is there a way to work out, you know, a credit? They do it in air, right? Water is actually something you can actually measure instead of air. So I'm just, and it doesn't have the same sort of, it's a net benefit. I don't see there's a hot spots, you know, the same kind of environmental justice concerns that there are for tradable permits or tradable credits in other areas. This seems like a win-win.
The current permit doesn't have the details as you were asking for, that I'm aware of.
Okay, I'll
That's
try to
something we
write.
could explore. We are always collaborating and partnering with the water board on opportunities.
And maybe you can explore with the regional board. I mean, is there a mechanism for that type of trading?
I will.
Or, yeah, or collaborative investment or something like that. I mean, it's not different than what we do on, you know, than what we're trying to do, we have been considering and spending money to do with Los Vaqueros, for instance, right? So seems like CASA agencies could combine forces.
Thank you. Thank you for your input.
Doug?
So my question was just, I assume that this upgrade equipment, reactor decks, pumps, mixers, et cetera, is that in the capital budget at all, or is this going to be additional items we're going to see, or?
It's in the planned capital budget right now, but we only approve budget for 2 years. So in the coming years, you will see the actual estimates and how it impacts the rates.
Do you have any sense of what that's likely to look like?
We don't have detailed estimates. These are not cheap projects. It's probably tens of millions.
Tens of millions, okay. Thank you.
Any other thoughts, questions? Luz?
So, thank you so much for all the information. Sitting on Derwa, I'm aware that Central San, being also impacted by this permit, is now happy to be diverting more of their waste stream for recycling purposes, right? So one thing I don't see here, and it's probably from ignorance on my part because I'm still learning, but how much of our stream is actually recycled, and is there an opportunity to do more of that to avoid more nutrients going in the bay?
Our nutrient watershed permit does not require us to recycle, so it's not a direct link. It requires us to remove nutrients. Recycled water is an opportunity if we have that. Right now, our focus is removing nutrient, which we have to do regardless of whether we send it to recycled water or not. Our options are limited right now. We have to expand our current distribution system as well as our production system, recycled water, the facilities doesn't exist right now. I think.
We do a small amount of recycling right now from our wastewater plant. There's a study to look at improving the water quality so that we can expand that use. We will come next month with the recycled water master plan to discuss all the projects that we've evaluated to increase that. We do have a project that's going to bring more recycled water to Alameda Island. But until we make those water quality improvements, there's limitations on what the end users can use that water for. So we'll have more information next month.
Okay, thank you.
Anything further? All right, so this is part of the general manager's report, and it says no action required.
Just information.
All right, so thank you for that.
Thank you, Amit.
Thank you.
And finally, attached is the monthly report, and at your places is a speakers bureau.
All right. So we will now move to director's comments. Items 19 through 21, and this is a report only, no action required. Are there any comments from the public on any of these items? No? All right. Let's move on to director reports and comments.
Committee reports first, please, number 19.
All right. The meeting minutes for the June 25th, 2024 Sustainability and Finance Administration Committee meetings and the July 9th, 2024 Planning and Ledge HR Committee meetings were provided in your agenda packets. We will now receive updates on this morning's Planning and Ledge HR Resource Committee meetings. Planning, Marguerite?
Yeah, the planning committee had an eventful morning. We got an update on dam safety, which included a thorough discussion of the consideration that have been taking over many years to address an interest by the community keeping the Lafayette tower as a symbol of the city, but recognizing that dam safety is paramount. We agreed to unanimously supported staff's recommendation to continue with the short tower design, keeping as much as possible of the aesthetic of the tall tower but short, and continuing to speak with folks from Lafayette. The second item was on whether to, or about the status of the Los Vaqueros expansion JPA, and staff made a compelling case for changing our role within the JPA, and it'll be coming forward to the next board meeting, but again, unanimously, we supported stepping away from a storage commitment, but continuing to be a member of the JPA to facilitate the other, the benefits of the project, the non-storage benefits of the project for partners in the environment. And then finally, this is why we went long. We had an update on our trench soils management program, which will also be coming to the full board and had unanimous recommendation. We're moving into a new paradigm of doing direct haul, largely to support restoration of wetlands and safeguarding our communities from the impacts of sea level rise, and probably at a lower cost than what our current program runs us, and with other benefits of reducing our greenhouse gas emissions. So win, 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 win. And so that'll be coming to the board as well.
All right, thank you.
That's planning.
And Bill, your report on Ledge HR?
Yes, Ledge HR committee met this morning. There were 2 items on the agenda. It was reported out on the 2023 Equal Employment Opportunity Program with a presentation by Gary Morton. And then secondly, there was legislative update. And of course, we heard a report, number 624, to consider a proposition on the bill 8682 by Huffman. Both of those were recommended for forwarding to the board. and they were heard on the consent item, calendar, I'm sorry. And that's my report.
Thank you, Bill. Please submit items for future consideration to the general manager. And now we'll have director comments. Thank you if you've already submitted your written comments to the secretary. Are there any verbal director comments or reports? Doug, why are you smirking?
Because I'm going to take this opportunity to say here, I sent a letter out to some number of supporters that I'm not going to be seeking reelection this year. I don't have any prepared remarks. I'll save those for when I get closer to actually leaving, unless everyone think I'm leaving tomorrow or something, which a lot of people had the reaction of. But I did decide not to seek reelection. I've been very proud of my 24 years here. Just as proud of whatever I might have done as the proud of being able to work with this incredible staff that we have at East Bay MUD. I'm so proud of the great work that we do, the great community work that we do to serve our community and to be good neighbors. That's one of the things that I think that sticks with me a lot. Our role as board members, I see as being a liaison with the public. They're not just our customers, they're our constituents, they're our public. And so we have a responsibility to be their voice here. And so to that extent, I appreciate the voters who have returned me here and had their faith in me. And it's, but, you know, it's all good things have to come to an end. And so I've decided not to run for reelection, in part because I'm just trimming things here and there that I can, so I have a little more time to do some things, traveling and stuff like that you're supposed to do when you get to this age. So I guess I'll leave it at that for right now. But again, my thanks to the staff and to and to other board members that I've been able to serve with here. It's been a real source of pride in my career and in my service to the public.
Thank you, Doug. So this meeting will be adjourned in memory of...
Bill?
I'm going to call on Bill in a moment. This meeting will be adjourned in memory of longtime East Bay public servant Ellen Corbett, who passed away on Friday, August 9th. And I'll turn it over now to Director Patterson.
Yes. Let me just say that Ellen Corbett was one of the finest people I knew. On behalf of the board, I want to say that the East Bay Municipal Utility District Board of Directors is deeply saddened by the passing of Ellen Corbett. As a tireless advocate for the environmental stewardship and a key partner in managing our vital watershed lands, Ellen played a crucial role in balancing water resource needs with public access and ecological preservation. Her contributions to both the East Bay MUD and East Bay Regional Park District have left a legacy. Here are a few of her noted accomplishments. Ellen Corbett was the first woman elected mayor of the city of San Leandro in 1994. We celebrated together. In 1998, she was elected to the California State Assembly, where she served for the next 6 years and would embrace many of our issues during that term. Ellen was elected to the California State Senate in 2006 and served for 8 years. And for those years, as Senate Majority Leader. Boy, Randy got a kick out of that. In 2016, Ellen was elected to the East Bay Regional Park District Board of Directors and served as president in 2020. She had to keep her finger in something no matter what. Ellen's leadership prioritized the protection and management of watershed lands, working closely with EBMUD to address habitat problems, invasive species, and wildlife management. At East Bay Regional Park, Ellen focused on creating healthier ecosystems, improving park facilities, providing greater public access to natural spaces, and educating residents about the importance of conservation and responsible recreation. Ellen Corbett's dedication, visionary leadership, and lifelong commitment to the East Bay are an example to all who aspire to a life of public service. Her contributions have left an indelible mark on the East Bay community. The East Bay Municipal Utility District closes its August 13, 2024 board meeting in honor of Ellen Marie Corbett.
Thank you, Bill. Any other director comments for you?
And mine will be very short. Circumstances have made me aware of not only am I aging, but some parts of me don't work too good anymore. And I took it on myself not to file to run again, but let this be my retirement season. And you'll hear more about it later, but I can't tell you how much it's meant to me and Dell to have served in this capacity with the greatest staff ever assembled. Thank you.
Thank you, Bill. We'll hear more to come. So thank you, everyone, for attending. The next regular meeting of the Board of Directors will be held on Tuesday, August 27th, 2024 at 1:15 p.m. This meeting is now adjourned. Wow.